Last time we left off, Ryoko has managed to salvage enough bits and bobs and equipment and gear and clothing, etc., and just flog it to the bar guy in town. Was able to purchase the house from the current occupiers, which had trade ninjas. So between the trade ninjas and the shinobi thieves, they're the ones that seem to be currently like quote unquote running this town. It's also full of obviously basically people trying to flee the persecution of the Holy Nation as well. So it's kind of a bit of a mismatch, but it used to be Ryoko's home. And he's decided he's got no real intention of just abandoning it anytime soon. Now he's been able to get back into it after the shek uprising. So we managed to complete the repair on the property. So the property is now fully repaired. We haven't built anything inside or anything like that. The only things that I have built, in addition to finishing the repairs on the house off camera, is the the research station, and a couple of chests just to store stuff in. I've lowered his carry to just the heavy crossbow at the moment, and we haven't got any more gear or anything like that. We're just carrying food, bandages, and the same weapon as before. But obviously, Ryoko's focus has been to start learning. He wants to set up a base of operation, and he wants to start setting up a shop to compete. He basically wants to get self-sufficient. He's fed up of having to rely on these frigging price gouging bar guys, and he needs to be able to make enough money to rebuild his hometown. That's his primary goal, is to rebuild the pub, get it back to some of its former glory. So he's potentially contemplating, depending on resources and how much money he's got at the end of setting up the initial home, he's going to venture out and try and forge a path between here and Squin, so that he knows the route and he's learned the route and places to avoid, and forge his way out so that he's got a decent knowledge of a supply route he could set up. That's kind of his main aim at the moment. It's just to desperately finish setting up a foothold in the hub. Because it's going to take a lot of effort, and he knows it's going to take a lot of effort to try and bring the pub back to its former glory, get all these buildings rebuilt, get everything set up. So public sales is an interesting one, because that allows him to build. I think it's under. Shop counter. So where would a shop? So you come in there. You kind of want the shop counter to be right in front, don't you? Which way around we want it? We want shop assistants at the back and the counter right at the front. So there. So now when people come in, they've got the shop counter straight away. We can have some storage and that off to the right. We want the upstairs to probably. I mean, we're going to have to lock the building overnight because of it. With it being a public building, a shop, it's private residence at the moment while we set up. But for the shop to work, we will have to make it public. We don't really have anything to put in the shop at the moment anyway. There's some med supplies, but they're really important that we keep. We have some food. We might arguably have too much food, so some of that could potentially be converted to income. But other than that, these are our resources. We're keeping the hides for conversion to leather, this. We might be able to build some, at least a little bit more, gear. Basically, we at least don't want to be wearing stolen equipment if we have to venture out, just in case somebody takes offense or recognizes that it's been stolen. What we'll also do is food store. All food items. So, because this will free up a lot of space in general storage. So general storage is there. There's a nice little indent here. This would be good for food storage barrel. And what else shall we do? We've got general storage. We now got food storage. I think so Ryoko knows the hub pretty well and knows the surrounding resource capability. He knows of a very large iron and moderate copper deposit just outside the gates. So his plan initially is to either hire or convince some locals to basically join up as for a wage effectively. And get them lugging iron back to his. He wants to go into iron processing to convert it to iron plates as an initial source of income. As he noticed last few times he was in the bar shop and everything, that iron plates are pretty hard to come by, even between the two bars, the one in the hub and then the one on the outskirts of town, that always seems to have some potentially dubious equipment in it. So it's going to need a place to store that ore. And these are not small storage bins. So this is where we need to start planning some proper layouts, because if we put, for example, the storage here, as close to the corner as we can, could then put the processing iron refinery is a manual iron refinery. Can you only put that outside? So we might not be able to refine iron yet until we have a outpost. Cannot build too close to another town, so it looks like a refinery is not something that I could build in here. So that's unfortunate. That might change his approach, actually. Yeah, I wasn't aware of the building restrictions. So Ryoko's going to have to rethink his plan. He was speaking to some townspeople, and they informed him that now nobody allows the use of loud refining equipment inside the town walls. So that rules out as an initial plan for some money, effectively. So, which is a shame. But he could go into other production routes potentially. So we'll see what he manages to craft effectively. I mean, fabric manufacture could be a good one, but we have no source of cotton. So unless we know that there's a source of cotton in Squin, sorry, then yeah, there's no source of cotton. And if there's no source of cotton in Squin, we have a big problem. We have no source of flour, so that again rules out baking. Cooking we might be able to do. I think you can convert the green fruit, which there seems to be an abundance of in all of the bar stores and general stores around here, into cooked vegetables. And I think that should possibly allow us to get some food into our shop. So we're going to go with cooking. And go. We can't do smithing or anything like that, unfortunately, because we just don't have. Yeah, this is hard. I think we will have to go via fabric manufacture to get to the leather canning at the next level, at tech level 2. So we'll go fabric manufacture, and then clothing manufacture, because we'll need that later to be able to build the leather armor. So let's leave Ryoko sciencing. It's got a really good, decent science right now. But good athletics, right? Just giving us a decent speed. So, yeah, so he's made a lot of progression. He's coming up with a plan. He's sort of sticking to it. He's trying to get a foothold. Basically, trying to live, trying to figure out how to live in this new world. We're going to need a building material for that, a building material for that, and 4 building materials for that. So 6 altogether to complete all of the things that he wants to build right now. We have just come into a new day, so I might just turn off the jobs and send him over to the bar to have a look, see if they've got any offers. We do have 5 actually, so that's. He needs. So yeah, Ryoko realizes when trying to make a deal with the barman that he can't carry stuff. He's got no ability to really venture out, and because he could find the perfect equipment, and he just wouldn't be able to carry them. And the thought of not being able to benefit. What are you adding materials to there? There's nothing there. I mean, is that? It was building the lamp on the roof from here down here. Okay. So, wait for him to finish his engineering task, and then obviously he's got to go pick up more. And yeah, the repeated trips are beginning to wear him. So he's decided now he's going to venture out to Squin. He needs to venture out. There's no ability to source certain equipment into the hub. It's just too damaged, and there's not enough trade throughput. So he's going to try and venture to Squin, and then pack some food, get some bolts for the crossbow, and venture out into the wilderness and hope for the best. It's not a perfect scenario, but when the materials run out here, he knows he's got to go somewhere else, because until the hub is known to people as being back online, then it's going to be pretty hard for him to actually deal with anything, because nobody's going to be visiting or traveling to the hub for any reason. Everyone believes it's a derelict, ramshackle, destroyed town. No, don't go there. So he's going to finish off building what he can, and then he's going to set out on a journey to Squin and try and gear up some more. Maybe try and convince some people of what he's trying to do and why. See how things pan out for him. He's pleased with the location of the property. By having its back against the wall like that means that there's a lot of stuff between him and... Please don't do that. No. Prioritization. After bouncing up and down stairs a few times, he finally decides to prioritize the shop for the food storage, given that the food is already safely tucked away. mean, I'm tempted actually, given that that armor isn't really providing us with much. There's no resistance to blunt, no cut resistance. I mean, this is the interesting stuff. So some of these stats, to me, don't make any sense. So he's resisting the efficiency of a cut by 80%, but he can't resist the cut itself. So since he can't resist the cut, does the cut just do its damage 80% less efficiently? Or is it a multiplier, in which case 80% of nothing is nothing, so the cut resistance efficiency is what is a pointless stat without a resistance passive? So, I don't know. Or maybe it's cumulative, in which case maybe that resistance efficiency stacks with another item of clothing. Like here, this is 8% quick resistance. I'm gonna have to be careful. I am basically wearing most of a slave trader's outfit. So I do have to be careful. I haven't upset anyone. Hub nation, just for the time being. It's going to be part of the hub nation. He's desperately trying to rebuild the hub and get the word. Ooh, a fight outside the wall. You can hear the sound on top of the. We're definitely getting involved in that. Who is that? Is this a slave monger? Oh, we better not get in that actually, because if it's slave mongers, they will probably want to take all of the starving bandits as prisoners. But it's good practice with the bow, so. Oh, he's getting battered. But he's still standing. He's not exactly just lying down for him. He's got to be going down soon, I would say. I mean, there's, yeah. I'm going to try and loot what I can before they take them away. Uh-oh. We'll be careful. I don't want to be the one that will make a good slave. Is he awake? No, he's unconscious, so fine. Weird. Okay, well, it's not that I got. He heard the commotion and he managed to dive in and grab a few of the weapons. It's a nice little learner for him before he goes. He'll bring some coin into his pocket before he sets out for Squin. Not much, but a little. So yeah, that's not too bad. Yeah, that's fine. You can cope with that. That was a little free coin, and the slavers still get them then anyway. So. There. He has a quick peek over the wall as well as he runs past. Slavers are still there. Slavers are currently just staring. Oh, they have enslaved him. He is already shackled. Oh, that's unfortunate. Ooh, there's some raw meat outside the gates. I mean, I'm not sure we're quite to the point where he will be scavenging raw meat off the floor, given we have plenty of cooked meat. Let's be cooked meat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Four cooked meat and a fish, a dried fish, should be enough for him to make it to Squin. We'll take another bandage though, just in case. Yeah, let's take another bandage in case. That's a lot of time. So he's basically ready to go to Squin. So we're gonna stop the jobs. It's time for him to venture out. So he's gonna head out. He's gonna try and find. He knows from by remembering back when he was younger, all the way back actually into his childhood years, that his parents used to go to Squin for supplies, and those supplies ranged from clothing to equipment, tools. So Squin, he definitely thinks is going to be a lot more built up, populated, stocked. We have multiple stores and things like that, or so he expects anyway. Given he's not got any equipment, he decides it's probably best not to burn himself out. He's not sure exactly which direction it is or how long it's going to take. So he's a bit wary initially that if he gets caught out on the move, that'll end up really badly for him if he's exhausted. So he goes. Ryoko has set off on his way to Squin. He's not sure how long it's going to take him, what problems he's going to face along the way, or what might happen. But as the ground levels up, he sees in front of him a group of dust bandits. He's heard bad things about dust bandits. He wants to try and get out of the way before they actually manage to see him. I haven't seen him yet. He's going to try and just get past on the high ground, though. He's got no interest in trying to engage an entire group of dust bandits. He knows that they roam the territories and doesn't know how many more there are. So, and this was one of his biggest fears, is by not knowing exactly the way, he doesn't want to be exhausted and caught out. By anything or anyone. His biggest fear, in fairness, is slavers. He's petrified of a life of servitude, given he's only just really got his freedom back of sorts. Although he wasn't enslaved, he was in hiding. So I mean, he effectively wasn't free anyway. Comes across a path. So I'm just going to run over to the high ground on the opposite side and see if he can get his bearings. Should be able to see from the top of this hill. He should be able to try and figure out which direction he thinks he should go in. He's pretty sure that the Squin settlement is somewhere to the south, but not 100% sure. Given where the sun is as well at the moment, should be. Yes, there it is. So he sees the paths that are leading in the direction he feels, and there's also, there's what looks like a settlement down here as well. He thinks this might be it, that you can see from the top of the hill. In the distance at the bottom is a settlement. I actually thought it was further away than this, so I was a bit dubious about where exactly it is. You could see it from the top. It's now hidden behind a large rocky outcrop, but he knows it's the other side of this embankment. Have a jog round the corner. So you can see them now. Defensive gate, and much to his demise, it looks like there are shek guarding the gate. So he's immediately now wondering whether these are the same shek that destroyed his home. He knows he knows there's no match. He's not like he can pick a fight right now. Just hopes that they don't give him any hassle as he tries to walk in, because he's really not in the mood to deal with. Brilliant. A bunch of insults hurled at him as soon as he approaches the gate. Fantastic. Oh, and now they want to just rifle through my gear. Brilliant. Absolute assholes. Well, he manages to squash his feelings and his active resentment towards them. Maybe they were in the raiding parties. Maybe they weren't. The entire city looks like it's shek run. So it begrudges the idea of parting with any money and giving it to them. But it's not a lot to do. He knows he's gonna have to swallow a certain amount of pride, because it's a wasteland. He needs the resources and the ability to never have to come back here. That's his goal, is to effectively win a war of attrition by rebuilding the city that they razed to the ground. So it may take him a while to do it. Constantly hears mutterings as he runs through town. He's getting insults hurled at him. Like, he does not want to spend a second longer than necessary in this place. So, he knows he needs a backpack to be able to carry stuff back and forth. That's kind of a big enough indication. Is it go get a small one? Not that we could afford it anyway, but the stacking of large items, particularly trade goods. I think we go with one of those. Something that allows stacking of items. Yeah, we'll do it. That was not a cheap purchase, but it did have to be done. And the sleeping bag was another expensive purchase. These maps are really expensive, but he's never known that the territories are mapped out like this. He wasn't aware that things had been mapped out to this extent. He tries to catch sights of them and to just see if he can figure out where anything is without having to actually purchase them. But the shop owner's careful to only let him see the notations in the corner, denoting what they're going to depict. So he pretty much has to leave really, but now he's got his bag and everything before he ends up winding them up. He decides to have a bit of a look round town while ever he can stomach being surrounded by the shek. All shek. Every building he goes into is shek run, shek owned. Do have a lot of building materials, but he doesn't really want to travel across all that desert spanning hills with cotton as well, which could go to our fabric production. needs be, he might have to stash the backpack so man 7 could buy all of that. He's going to do it. He's going to go into the fabric production while he can. Actually, the fabric itself is also cheaper than the cotton, which is quite ironic. That's massively going to slow him down, but he accepts that if push comes to shove, he'll have to abandon the bag. And he only hopes that he can make it back home with the very, very important supplies without getting caught out. He has to risk it. Like the ability to never or to only ever come back here if he's made to is so important to him. He has to try and get back with some supplies that will tide him over. He can convert everything he's got. He can convert the cotton to fabric, the fabric to coin or to clothing, or to materials, or to utility resources, or something like that. Get that sold, make some money, and it means he doesn't have to come back here. Nothing else, maybe you can gather together enough coin to potentially hire somebody to be a go-between so that he never has to come back here and deal with the slurry of insults over and over again. Try and make it back in one piece. He knows if he pushes hard and pushes over the hilltop, it's not too far without having to go all the way around. So he's there, he can see in the distance on the other hilltop, see the hub. He knows it's halfway home. Oh dear. He has been seen by the dust boss. Right, okay, so there's no way he can outrun with all of that gear. They had a camp. They had a hidden camp on the shy side of the tower. Right, his only hope at this point is to ditch the bag and try desperately to get out of the way and hope they don't get up. Range, so he will try and deter them with some well-placed crossbow bolts. That was a big hit. That's what he's going to have to do. Oh, that is a lot of dust bandits. He doesn't have any choice. He has to completely abandon any hope of going back for his bag. His only hope now for survival, never mind anything else, is to rush back to the hub. Like they are just tearing after him. See if he can get up a well-timed shot. He's got to run again. Has to run again. See if we can get to that. Is a huge amount that were in that encampment, hidden on the shy side. Totally petrified, running for his life. He thinks he remembers vaguely where he threw the backpack. His only hope is that it's still there when he returns. I mean, there's so many that they might actually overrun the guards. But his only hope is to get some help. Why? 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 Yeah, let's not. Our only hope is that they can deal with that many bandits. Right, it's got to go. He has to go back out and try and find. It's just not an option. He's got to go try and get his bag back. It's just after the brow of that hill. Desperately hoping that they haven't found it and picked it to pieces. Goddamn dust bandits. He was so close to really beginning a new start. Like, really beginning a new start. Goddamn dust bandits. So unfortunate as well with where they were camped. He had no idea that they were on the other side of that hill. Just ran straight over the hill into them. Praying that they didn't find that bag. And that, of course, even if they didn't find it, that they aren't. Oh, wooden backpack that's still there. Looks like when they abandoned the camp to get him, they dropped a load of their stuff as well, so... grog bottles everywhere, the camp's a mess. They weren't just dust bandits, that was like two entire groups that had decided to camp down for the night together. Now really wants to try and get back with the materials before dark. He has a quick look through the bag as well, and it doesn't. Realize some of the trailers. They had some illicit substances at the camp. Though he also knows that nobody really ever checks his bags here. It's not like the racist sheks that, you know, just insult him and just use the fact he's a human as an excuse to rifle through his stuff. He's not sure how he feels about finding it, but he also knows he can't really leave it next to the camp. It's rapidly getting towards night. Oh, he's still not made it back. He's literally trying desperately now to chase the sun home. The sun is literally setting behind him. He underestimated how how heavy all of this stuff was going to be to try and get back. All he can do now is run. Just keep running. Darkness settled before he made it back. So now the temperature's dropping as well in the desert. But he doesn't have time to think about that. Plus the running, cool desert air in the evening makes it somewhat bearable to keep pushing forward. So close to being home. You might actually be able to still pick apart the idiots that were stupid enough to attack the trading guild, the ninja traders. Begins to wonder whether the only reason they were actually hell-bent on attacking and following him is because they were just high. Didn't really realise where they were charging him to. Either way, he's thankful that the trade ninjas stepped in. Otherwise, that would have been a really, really big hit. Ryoko doesn't stop for a second until he actually makes it to the town. Immediately gets rid of the illicit drug. Doesn't want that. Doesn't want anything to do with that. Just takes the money. Bodies nearby. I think all of the bodies have been tidied up, or they got away. Yeah, or they never actually died. They were just unconscious. They've not been thrown outside the gate, so it's possible that they all recovered in while I was desperate to get the gear. They all recovered and ran off. Selling the horse chopper, definitely selling helmet. Got us a little bit of point back, but his main concern was getting home with the required materials. That was his only driving force and focus, to get home with the required materials. For now, that should set him up in good stead. So, gets home and is absolutely shattered. Can't really function. Can't really contemplate doing anything else at this point, except sleeping until one. He's not even sure how he's going to arrange or deal with the resources he's got. For the time being, he's going to sleep until morning.